in the shade of a twisted forest. There lies a scene so disturbing yet profoundly raw that it arrests both the eye and the mind. A solitary monkey, once a vibrant creature of the wild, now entwined in a grotesque tableau of nature's most morbid symbiosis. Its fur, matted and soaked with sweat and fetid secretions, conceals wounds so ravaged that the very skin beneath seems to pulse and crawl with life of its own. Festered lesions, carved into the flesh like deep, uneven craters, serve as festering invitation cards to an army of insects that swarm in ravenous multitudes. This is not a spectacle for the faint-hearted. The monkey's agony is laid bare beneath the nightmarish siege of small, yet unrelenting, predators. These insects, tiny architects of decay, have established a macabre empire on the monkey's body, their legs twitching and mandibles working with an unnerving persistence that blurs the line between symbiosis and pure horror. As the camera lingers, you see the pulse of the tissue displaced by throngs of maggots burrowing deeper with every agonizing second, and arthropods clutching hunks of raw flesh in their pincers, orchestrating a grim ballet of consumption. The injury, initially small and inconspicuous, a scratch perhaps, has devolved into a living nightmare driven by the relentless appetite of flies, beetles, and parasitic wasps, each species playing a cruel role in this ecological tragedy. While this vivid tableau suggests death's slow approach, it also reveals a cruel truth about survival in the wild, where wounds become battlegrounds and the line between victim and feeder blurs beneath the relentless laws of nature. Beneath the lurid horror, the insect infestation is a complex, yet brutally efficient, process. These invaders act as both scavengers and parasites. Flies lay eggs within the open wounds. In a few days, these eggs hatch into larvae, maggot. Beneath the sprawling African sky, a solitary buffalo lumbers through the grassland, its imposing silhouette a testament to raw survival. Yet, as we draw closer, what should be a symbol of rugged endurance reveals a grotesque horror. A vast honeycomb wound riddled over its flank, a nightmare etched in flesh. This is no ordinary scar, but an open, pulsating map of decay, where the skin has been ravaged to reveal raw, dark tissue interlaced with strange tunnels and cavities. Each hole, swollen with festering fluid, breathes with a chittering crawl of 1,000 tiny invaders. This gruesome scene unveils the relentless siege of parasite infestation, a living nightmare orchestrated by nature's most insidious freeloaders. These parasites, primarily botfly larvae and various maggots, find refuge within the buffalo's skin, embedding themselves in nests of agony. The botfly, hovering with eerie patience, lays eggs that hatch into larvae, burrowing deep beneath the skin where the host's immune defenses falter. There, wrapped in their moist chambers, they devour living tissue, muscle, and fat, turning solid flesh into a writhing mosaic of decay and regeneration. The buffalo's wound resembles a blood-stained honeycomb, each cavity a larval breeding. Out in the cold, gray depths where the unforgiving ocean stretches endlessly, a white whale surfaces with an eerie stillness that chills even the most seasoned observers. This is no ordinary sight. The whale's massive, ghostly body bears a hideous wound teeming with clam infestation, a grotesque tableau of nature's darker side. The injury, raw and unyielding, is a sprawling, festering canvas upon which hundreds of tiny clams have latched, transforming the once pristine creature into a living, breathing host of parasitic torment. This shocking visual is not merely a macabre spectacle, but a window into the relentless, often brutal interplays of life beneath the ocean's surface. How does such a creature, symbolic of purity and myth, come to harbor such a vile affliction? Lean in, for this tale is painted in the unsettling colors of survival, decay, and the impartial hands of biology. Clams, normally benign creatures filtering the ocean's murky breath, become agents of destruction in these circumstances. When a whale's skin is breached, whether from a predator's strike, a collision with human debris, or the natural wear of age, the wounds become fertile ground for colonization. Clams infiltrate these injuries, embedding themselves into the soft flesh and cartilage, feeding on the whale's blood and tissue. The infestation grows, turning the wound into a pulsating ecosystem of decay. The clam's shells, sharp and unforgiving, scar the whale's flesh further, slowing healing and inviting secondary infections. Parasites breed in the vast arid deserts where life struggles against relentless sun and scarce water. A disturbing scene unfolds beneath the grains of sand and the heat-rippled air. Here lies a camel, its massive frame hunched, a living testament to nature's darker cycles. Upon its flank, a horrific honeycomb wound gapes, a grotesque mosaic of oozing cavities, uneven and swollen, as if the skin itself had been shattered into a hive of decay. This is no ordinary injury. It is an unholy nest crafted by parasites, sculpting their grotesque empire deep within the flesh of their unwitting host. The honeycomb pattern is not accidental, but the telltale architecture of a parasite infestation, a biological siege where men in the sweltering heart of the savannah, shadowed beneath an ancient acacia tree, lies a scene simultaneously hypnotic and horrid. The black lion, a rare anomaly in the lion world, notorious both for its striking midnight coat and, in this grim tale, for the ghastly spectacle festering upon its flank. What first catches the eye is not the regal mane or the piercing golden eyes, but the mass, a grotesque cocoon-like wound, pulsating with life of a sinister sort. It is as if the very skin of this majestic beast has become a breeding ground, a host for horrors beyond immediate understanding. The flesh, weeping and raw, is enveloped in thick, sullen scabs and writhing larvae, a vivid tableau of nature's darkest cycles, raw and unfiltered. This wound, a gangrenous nest, defies the common notions of disease or injury typically encountered in wildlife. It is not a simple infection, but a complex ecosystem of parasitic offenders. Tiny grub-like creatures burrow beneath the epidermis, their segmented bodies twisting in unholy synchrony, devouring tissue with relentless hunger. From their vantage, the wound's necrotic edges serve not just as shelter, but as a sinister hideaway where larvae hatch and mature, their growth fueled by the decaying flesh that once was living, pulsing lion skin. Parasites, in their most prolific and abhorrent form, have taken hold here. Each larva is a microscopic devourer, a microcosm of destruction. They secrete enzymes that dissolve healthy tissue into a slurry, which in turn feeds them as they develop, transforming once majestic muscle into putrid pulp. The wound exudes a fetid in the heart of a desolate savannah, where life and death intertwine in an endless dance. A figure lies ensnared in a grotesque struggle. It is a white lion, a spectacle of rarity and purity, crowned with a coat that gleams like spectral moonlight. Yet this noble creature is marred by a scene so revolting it halts the breath, drawing a dark fascination. The lion's once pristine fur is riven with wounds, festering, oozing, and crawling with an obscene army of insects. These tiny marauders swarm in and out of the tissue, their relentless assault transforming living flesh into a rotting theater of decay. This is not a simple scratch or a fleeting irritation. The infestation here is a nightmare brought to life. The lion's skin is pierced by a myriad of punctures, each a gateway for maggots, beetles, and flies thriving on the rank, necrotic banquet the wounds provide. The sight is chilling, a tapestry of grub-infested tunnels beneath the surface, where larvae writhe and feast, secreting powerful enzymes that liquefy and digest flesh from within. The sounds, if you could hear them, would be a relentless chorus of tiny mandibles gnawing, puncturing, and scraping. The putrid smell of decay hangs heavily, a pungent miasma signaling the breakdown of life. Insect infestation in a white lion is an ecological scandal wrapped in brutal biological truth. It begins often with a minor cut or abrasion, possibly from a fight with another creature or a thorn in the harsh landscape. But the wound quickly attracts scavenging flies, particularly blowflies, which lay eggs in the raw tissue. In no time, these eggs hatch into maggots, the vanguard of destruction, which infiltrate the wound and consume dead and living tissue alike in their voracious hunger. Other opportunistic insects, carrying bacteria and pathogens, join the feast, worsening the infection and inviting a cascading cycle of tissue death and systemic toxemia. This infestation is both a symptom and agent of the white lion's vulnerability. Its whiteness, a genetic marvel, ironically offers less camouflage against predators and parasites alike, increasing its exposure and risk. The insect's capacity to drive an apex predator, a symbol of strength and dominance, into a state of helplessness is a disquieting reminder of nature's brutal impartiality. Parasites do not discriminate. They exploit whatever life they find, gnawing away until only bones remain.